I've never seen this film.
What? I'm sorry.
Never seen it.
We
no,
on?
that's what we're on. This is good.
Let's go.
Impact event in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Run.
You can do that.
Oh my God. Are you shitting me? Oops.
So
Sorry.
I've told you don't have that. I don't censor anything.
Listing my qualities on your fingers is not going to get you anywhere with me.
Okay. Alrighty. Yeah. Wow. What rock?
Yeah.
you
So
doing?
this is what I like about doing these things. Like, it's about communicating what other things are out there, because you get in your little zone and niche and you don't explore other films.
I got so caught up in the emotion of that betrayal that in the middle of one take I was sobbing so hard that I looked at him and I got so angry and I just hauled off and hit him. And I couldn't believe I did it, and I don't think anybody else could believe I did it because it wasn't in the script. And the director loved it, of course, and said, do it again. And I was like, no, we can't do that again. I hit him really hard.
I did like this, but it's very different. It's very weird.
You're just a toy, Sebastian. A little toy I like to play with.
I wouldn't have liked it in 1999. I was in a different, I had little kids, all that kind of stuff. So I just, probably why I didn't watch it then.
I think as an actor, you're always looking for something to stretch, something that's different, something to sink your teeth into, and that's usually what the evil character sort of offers. At the same time, it's also the hardest challenge because you have a tendency to go over the top. You need to add those layers in there to make her likable or even to redeemable at some point, or to even just to understand the motives behind why the character does what she does.
But I thought it was interesting. Like, it was what I remember some of the drama for people in freaking high school, man.
That was probably the hardest scene I've had to do as an actor thus far. Having your personal life and your professional life sort of coincide to that degree, and having the material be, so emotional. And I really worked myself up that day to the point where I got sick. I vomited because it was heavy. It was heavy. Just seeing her cry, making her cry. There was once, I don't even think it's in the movie now, but she punched me. And then the director says, I love it, and she has to do it on the 9 takes, from that point on. She had to match her slap to the face. It was not quite a slap, though. It was a little more closed fist than a slap. It really hurt after a couple hours.
Yeah, obviously it's another one of those films about teenage angst, 2 ultra elite Manhattan siblings, step-siblings, whatever, kind of going at it and, doing this huge bet and prep school type thing. Is it a fun film to watch? Yep. Unrealistic?
Oh,
yep.
Very unrealistic. Over the top unrealistic. But the nuance of it is like some of the things that, some of the people... So I went to a small school, and I had a lot of friends in big school, Mayo. A lot of friends in Mayo, because I lived on that side of town. And so to see, exactly, right? And to see some of that kind of stuff that was going on in that big school, it was wild to me. And so this kind of reminded me of some of those, not any specific situation, but kind of that over-the-top drama that some people like to do.
For me, similar experience. Grew up, went to a parochial school on the north end of town, graduated with a class of 10, find myself going into John Marshall in a class of 1,000.
Yeah.
Overwhelming, trying to find where you belong, and I found out where I belonged really quickly, which, wasn't the best either, but ended up in the parking lot, But yeah, some of the cheerleader type, definitely the cliques in the school, cheerleader football. Then you had your burnouts and blah, 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 geeks, whatnot.
What I thought was interesting, I was reading quite a bit about it, and there are comments on different podcasts. I like to look at that kind of stuff after watching the film. I don't investigate a lot before the film because I just want to watch it and see like how do I feel about it, what, all those kinds of things. And so afterwards, I was reading, comments on podcasts and different things. I think it's interesting to me, and some of these, they do podcasts like what we do, retrospectives or, throwbacks or whatever you want to label it. And people say, well, they would never make a film like this anymore. Well, they're worse.
Are you sure you want to do this?
It's like this in comparison to some of the films and some of the oddities, this is nothing.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm thinking that's just really weird to say to me, that this in comparison to some of the wildly crazy teenage, you know, like you use the word angst stuff that's out there now.
Yeah.
Doesn't
compare.
No, this is tame. And so I thought that was very interesting.
What I really like too is there's some strong characters there. Very strong. You know, Reese Witherspoon.
It is, yeah.
Huge, you know, and I love her role. She is such a versatile actress, you know, from Man on the Moon to, you know, to something like this, to Walk the Line. I mean, her trajectory of where she can take herself. Ryan Phillippe, her ex-husband, you know, Divergent. You know, he very great actor himself. Doesn't get a lot of credit for the stuff he's done. Sarah
I think
Michelle,
his personality kind of has gotten in
a little
that
bit
way,
of it.
right?
Yeah, he's a little different.
He's
very different.
He's definitely a solid actor, though.
What I love about
unique.
He is, and I love Sarah Michelle Gellar. I mean, she's been in Revenge. I love the fact that even though she's portrayed as a ultra bitch in here, her and Freddie Prinze are very much away from the Hollywood.
Yeah.
You don't hear about them having a public argument. You don't hear about anything from them.
Right.
She's kind of kept her private life private and out of the Hollywood spectrum. And I really like that. But she's great. I mean, I loved her in the Buffy the Vampire Slayer. You know, I loved her in,
sure.
You know, so I think they're in Selma Blair, without a doubt. I loved her character, Cecile. I think
how old was she here? I didn't look that up, I guess.
I think Cecile was actually one of the more older ones. I don't remember the exact age, but I thought
Selma Blair and Sarah Michelle Gellar are
they're
best
friends in
and
real
they
life.
have been for a long time.
Yep.
Now, back then.
But I think I want to say that Selma's a little bit older. I thought I read that somewhere, but I can't be sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, just the acting that kind of came out of this. But there again, it's one of those cheesy. It's not a rom-com, obviously, but it's a cheesy romance drama / gossip girl type thing.
Right. What's interesting is it is now considered a cult classic.
It is.
It did very well. It did $75 million.
Very well at the box office
for what it, you know, about a $10 million budget, which is kind of surprising.
And it was shot in 6 weeks.
Yeah,
that's pretty good
for sure.
And I love that they made for the cinematography and all that. New York, love New York, Manhattan, the pool scenes in the Biltmore. You know, because I love New York. I absolutely love New York. So for me, it was like, oh, you know, kind of takes me back. But yeah, I mean, I have to say, out of the whole thing, the only thing I liked really out of this film, of course, was the soundtrack. The soundtrack was great.
I was waiting.
The soundtrack was beautiful. The Verb, Bittersweet Symphony, one of the biggest songs ever that will be totally with this movie.
Yeah, it's totally attached to it.
Colorblind.
Sure. Yeah.
All these great alternative rock music came out with this movie.
And somebody denied it too, right? They wanted to have their song in there, and someone, I'm trying to remember, Billy Corgan,
Smashing Pumpkins,
guitarist for Smashing Pumpkins said no. They wanted their song in there, and he said no.
Yep.
Then the whole band or whatever had to sign off on it.
Well, don't get me wrong. The Verb had their own issues with plagiarism and copy. You know, trying to copy a Rolling Stone song and
for sure.
But I just, you know, the alternative rock that came out of that.
Yeah.
Obviously, Nirvana changed the course of heavy metal music, brought it into the grunge, and the grunge brought it into alternative.
Yep.
So, but yeah, I thought the soundtrack was beautiful. That was my main. Yeah.
Yeah, I just would have thought back then, Smashing Pumpkins. I mean, that should have been big for them to say yes to. And the Verves sold like a lot of albums.
Oh, huge. Huge.
Tons of albums.
But there again, on the Smashing Pumpkins, they were under the management of Sharon Osbourne. So I'm sure Sharon probably had a little. Oh, yeah, she was their manager. So I'm sure that had a lot to do with them going into this, but kind of takes away from the whole Lollapalooza, Ozzy Osbourne type thing. But,
yeah.
But
so
yeah,
the sex scenes.
Yes, the kiss.
So there's rumors that because Ryan and Reese were a couple. That they actually had sex. And laughingly, the director and a few of the others in interviews said that it was simulated, but they laugh it off. I thought that was interesting, too. So
she was his girlfriend,
right?
I mean,
And people were, I know, some of the screen testing and stuff like that. They were coming out saying like that was a real sex scene that came across that way and everything. But
well, I have to tell you,
it's pretty wild.
I have to tell you, watching that. Yeah, it looked pretty damn real to me. But there again, they were actors, but they were in love. So I don't think it was hard to simulate that because of the feelings that they had for each other. I got a kick out of the kiss between Sarah and Selma. Yeah, and that got rated the 32 best kiss ever.
Yeah.
So I thought
I saw that. That's cool.
So, and at that time,
best friends
But at that time, there's that lesbian type vibe there to bring that out in this movie. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I did. It has its place. I've seen it twice. I mean, I saw it shortly after it came out, just for shits and giggles, just to say, okay, everybody kind of liked Ryan Phillippe, kind of cute. But I was like, and then rewatching it again for this, I was like, oh, why did I watch that again?
You mean, why did you pick it?
Why did I pick it? Yeah. But I did, like I said, out of all of it, I did like Cecile's character.
Yeah, and when she wore the
cape, Red Riding Hood.
Yeah, so they wanted just the little things that they put in here was kind of cool too.
Kind of putting that into your mind, that subliminal stuff in your mind. But I think that I do think that it's going to hold its place. It's always going to hold its place. But is it something that I'm going to rewatch again?
No, right. No. It was interesting for me though. I was very happy at the end of it. Like the next one we're going to review, the Virgin Suicides. I watched that one first. I love that movie. And so then I watched this one, and I wasn't
to say about that one.
Right. So they're two extremely different films, and so I didn't know what to expect coming into this, and so that was fun. And then by the end of it, I'm like, oh, that was kind of neat. I like. I've talked about this before. I like when characters die because real world life can really suck.
Well,
and they're not killing characters anymore.
No, and kind of like we were talking about off camera here, it's got the Romeo and Juliet vibe. The greatest love stories end in tragedy.
Right.
And this followed suit, but added a little bit of twist on there. The whole manifesto thing that we were talking about. Who does that in today's day and age? Teenagers are to watch that. That's a joke.
Yeah, for sure. Right now, yeah,
that's a big joke. They're banging on the third date, if that.
Right.
So I'm just saying, being real here. I can be real. You said I could. Yeah. But that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. There is no dating etiquette anymore.
Did it back then?
What?
Like that kind of etiquette?
Well, I think back in my day, we at least had a couple of dates before you started going into the sheets, so to speak. But, I could be wrong too, but.
I think it's very different today. In fact, I think that in some cases, some of it's even better. It's more, they're more careful, more protected, in things like that. I remember it's a lot going on without protection in my day, so.
That part, yes.
I think there's more knowledge, maybe, is what I'm trying to say, to what the consequences of.
Yes, me having sons. And my youngest right now, so thank God.
Okay, we got to switch to a different podcast on this one.
Thank God my youngest is like that. You have protection. But as far as the way the kids are today, young 20s, you hook up in a bar, you have your hookup.
Yeah, but I think there's more knowledge, I guess. I think people are more knowledgeable about what.
There's some real life consequences, and they realize that.
Yes, and they realize that. Yeah.
But there's still
good, bad, or in between. I'm not saying I'm not giving my opinion on that. I'm just saying that I think there is significant from 1999, 98 when it was filmed, but from then to now, I think there's a lot more knowledge. There's at a younger age. Again, good, bad, in between. That's not what I'm saying, but I think that very arguably you could say that there's a lot more knowledge.
There is, and one
people.
thing that I'm very appreciative of now from back then. Back then, you didn't talk to your parents. I mean, I didn't tell my parents anything. Now, I have my 22-year-old coming up to me and saying, yep, I'm doing this. And sometimes it's a little bit too graphic that he's telling me. But I love the fact that he feels that he can talk to me now.
Right.
So that's a good thing that comes out of that. But I always tell him, remember, your consequence is your own.
Right.
So make wise decisions.
Well, yep, for sure. No, so thanks for picking it. I really did enjoy this one. Again, had no idea what to expect. I like the actors in it. I mean, I knew that going into it, so I figured it wasn't going to be that bad, but it was great.
Yeah, it will go in the vault. I wouldn't say it's great.
No, it's great great experience.
It's not great, but it is one of those that, yep.
Of course, it's got to do that to us now.
Of course it does. That's what you got to love about these podcasts. They're unscripted.
That's right. While we do edit them, we don't edit anything out.
Yes.
But that might not make it in depending upon where the camera was at the time. But good old computer updates.
So yes, this will have its place in...
Yeah, in history, in my mind. I doubt I'll ever watch it again. Maybe, who knows? But I mean,
But it will bring about another generation
for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
because of the ability of being able to stream Netflix, Hulu.
Yeah,
it will bring about another whole new generation.
Yeah, for sure. Well, hey, thank you everybody for watching, for listening, and we would appreciate to know what you think. What do you think of the movie? What do you think of the podcast? You can do that by commenting, or you can email us at
legitq
at
maddysmoviemix.com.
Yes.
I knew you were going to make me do that.
I know. See you next time.